Okay, in this video, I'm going to be going over the main overview features of Camtasia 8. First of all, there's really three main sections. There's the timeline, which is down below, and you can put a number of tracks. There's the preview window, which is over here, and then there's the clip bin, and on the left-hand side here. You can see here that you can resize these windows here, so I can make the timeline area where all the tracks go larger. Down here I can move this. I can make the preview window smaller and larger and so forth. Alright, you can see here that there's a number of tabs and buttons that will fill out down below. A lot of these are obviously a repeat of what's happening up here. Okay, so a lot of these are repeats of right here, these buttons, or I can click on more and even add more. You'll see here that obviously I'm just going to set it up to just about right there. Okay. You'll see here that if you click on record screen, you got import media and produce and share. This is when you're done your video and all of your editing, you can go to produce it, and obviously you can turn it into a well, there has to be a media in there right now. So let me just, for example, import media. This brings up your hard drive where you can import a number of different media file types. You can see on the bottom right hand corner, you can see the different file types it can do. There's all media, there's image files, audio files, and video files. So three main types. And you can see the extensions that Camtasia 8 supports. For example, let's just, for example, click on there's an audio, there is a video, and let's click on an image here. There's image money. So these three. When I do that, all three of those are going to be added to my what's called a clip bin, and it categorizes it because it already recognizes what type of file it is. So you got your image file. If I scroll down, you got your audio file, and we have a video file right there. And so if I want to click on that, it brings me up the image file. If I want to click on this, it plays the audio, and then here is the video. If I double click on that, it's going to bring up the video. Okay. Now obviously to get those down to the timeline, all I need to do is click and drag to the timeline, and a little window comes up and it'll ask you to what kind of dimensions do you want. Now obviously if it was recorded in high definition, it'll show you recording dimensions. So this was recorded in very high definition, 920 by 1080. Now I do not want to produce a video with that kind of high definition, so I'm going to go to the next stage down, which is 720p, which is 1280 by 720. So I'll pick that one right there. Okay. You can also change the background color, so instead of black you can change it to white or whatever, but I'll just keep it as black. So that's the now added to the timeline down below. And here you can obviously resize it, and I can stick another one right here or another clip and so forth. Okay, you can resize it automatically with Camtasia 8. It's very, very handy. You'll see here that it has a number of transitions and audio, your zooming, callouts, and so forth. But your clip bin, that's where all of your stuff that you import that you're going to use to make your video happens. And so you import your image clips, you import your audio files, and you import any video clips that you want to do, and you just add them to your timeline. So if I want to add the audio to the timeline, I just grab the audio, and there's the audio there. You see that? So, and you probably cannot hear my computer speakers unless I have it activated, but that's the audio. And if I want to add the image file, you see this? There's the image file. Now you'll notice that the image file goes over the video clip and right there, so I can drag it down over here, and so that when it plays, just let me move this up a little bit, and then the money clip plays. Now here's a neat little trick. I can take that money clip and let me come down so that you can see it a little bit more, and I can put that money clip, I can shrink it down so that money clip happens right here. See that? So let me come down and after so many seconds, that money clip will appear on the left. And what's really cool, I can add a fade in. So if I double click on that, if I double click on it, the callout features appear. And there's a couple neat things I can do here. I can add text on top of this. Money. See that? Money. And I will make it bold, for example. Just like that. And so if I money, and just make it even larger. Money. All right. The next thing I can do here is I can have a fade in process right here. So if I come on here, what I can do, I can go to more and click on transitions, and I can add a fade into that and click on fade. And there's a lot of different transition types that you can choose from, but I'll add a fade, drop that down to right there, and that's usually the default is 10. I'll just make that a little bit smaller to about 10, and you'll see here now, obviously, when I come and it fades in. You see that? You'll see here that I can also do one more thing here. If I double click on it, and if I go to visual properties, make sure you get to know visual properties a lot, because it's a really cool option here. You can add animations, but on this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this so that it has like a border, so it looks like more like a picture. It has like a frame around it, and all you need to do is click on border, and I'm going to make this border white, and I make the thickness say around 5. Okay, so now it has a nice border around that. Yeah, so let's just come here, and I will come, fades in, says money, and looks like a picture with a nice border around it. All right, and it's got some background music playing on it as well. So that, and again, we can go on and on and on. So there's just some extra introductory stuff that I can do here on the audio file down below. You see that if I click on the audio file in the timeline, make sure that whatever you're working on, you select in the timeline. So then I click on audio, and here you can add a number of different effects to it with the volume. You can do the volume fading in or fading in and fading out. So if I click on fading in, you'll see here that it's going to fade in the volume, and I can adjust the fading in right here. I can move it so that it's more like this, fading in more slowly. I can make the volume higher or lower right here or right here. See, fading in, and I can actually mute it. I can mute it right here. Click on silence, and the whole thing is muted. Or I can go volume up a little bit more, or I can use my mouse and come down here and click the volume level right here. Okay, and we'll get into the leveling and noise removal on all the audio, in fact, in another. I just wanted to give you a quick overview, and it's got the zoom and pan. Obviously, if you want to zoom into an area, you can do that right here. And the library, it's got a lot of different stuff that you can choose from. Camtasia is fortunate for us to give us a lot of clips and title clips and callouts that are pre-made, pre-packaged that we can use, and we'll get into that in another video. So again, I just want to give you an overview of some of the things that you can do. All your timeline and tracks are down below. Your preview is on the right hand side. Your clip bin, where all your stuff goes, is on your left hand side, where you import, and then when you're done, you go to produce or share it on YouTube and so forth. Thank you. In this video, we're going to be going over how to record a video with Camtasia Studio version 8. This is the Windows version. And before we get started, obviously you want to record screen. This is your tab right here. But before we do that, we want to, when you first start the program, you want to make sure that your smart focus is turned off. Now what happens is that when you create a video and you put that video in your timeline down here below, smart focus is that anytime you move your mouse on your video, smart focus will automatically zoom in and out according to your mouse movements. Now this is very, very annoying. So you want to make sure that by default the smart focus is turned off. And how you want to do it, you want to go to Tools, and you always want to check out your options down right here. And most of these can be left as a default, but you can see here that it says Apply Smart Focus to Clips Added. You want to make sure that that is checked off. And also Lock Smart Focus to Maximum Scale, that's off as well. All these others defaults can be the same. You can, if you want to have any hotkeys, if you do a certain action on your keyboard, it'll do a certain action on the program. So you can set up any hotkeys right there. The only other things that you want to look at for your settings are default durations in seconds. For example, anytime you do set up a transition, the default is 1 second. If you want to make that smaller or larger for defaults, you can just do that right here for captions or animations and so forth. All right. So that's the only thing I want to recommend to start off, is to disable your smart focus, and also if you want to set your defaults to be something different, I would just leave those as the same for right now to get started. Now to record a screen, obviously you would want to click on record screen, and when you do that, obviously this little toolbar comes up right here. Just let me just bring this back up here. Here's the bar right here. I have my webcam on right here. Maybe I'll just turn that off. There you go. Oh, by the way, let me just start that over. If you are using your webcam, if you turn that on, the only way that you can record with your webcam is if you go to Tools and go to Options, and you'll see here that it says Saving Recording to CamRec. Now this is the video file name that Cam Studio will record to. It'll save it as a .camrec recording. Now you can also have the option to save it as a AVI. Now AVI is a great file name to save it to because you can import that into other video editing softwares if you want to. You cannot import a CamRec file into Sony Vegas Pro or something else, but you can with an AVI. I mostly do AVI. The only time that I would switch to a CamRec is if I want to use my my webcam right here. You cannot use your webcam and record into AVI. It only works with the CamRec option. So if I click on Options and if I go to AVI, you'll see it says Camtasia Recorder cannot record webcam video when the Save As is AVI option. All right. So you'll notice that if I click OK, you'll see that my webcam is disabled. All right, so now I am going to save it in the AVI because I like that. Now you'll see here that there's a number of features here, and a lot of these features down below are replicated in these tabs up here. You'll see here that obviously on the left hand side it says Capture, so I can just click on Record right here. When I click on Record, it's going to have a 3, 2, 1, and then it's going to be live. I can select an area to record. I can lock to an application, so if I have a certain application or a browser window opened up, I can lock to that entire window. Or say if I want to record a software program, it will lock to that software application. All right. Also, I can have my audio on or off. Now for effects, obviously you got annotations. I can add a system stamp. I can add a caption. Your cursor is something you certainly want to look at if you want to have it on or off. I usually have mine off. Or excuse me, I usually have my cursor on, and what happens with that is that when I move my mouse around, a yellow circle around my mouse appears, and also the clicks. Every time I click, that'll give a little click in the video as well. It'll show me clicking. All right, so you can set your different cursor movements right here. You'll see here that there's options. If I click on Options, you can see that you can set the cursor to be a larger circle or a smaller circle. See if I make it larger or smaller. I can change the color, and also for the mouse clicks. Anytime I click my mouse, do I want it to be a ring, a red ring? If it's left or a right click is blue. So I can set the color, I can set the size, and so forth of that. Okay, and also if I want it to be the cursor, if I want it to be translucent or opaque, and so forth. All right. Now that's pretty straightforward. The sound here, obviously, anytime I want to do a sound, where is it? You know, there's a little wave file that happens anytime I click my button on my mouse. A little sound happens. That's the audio file right there. Now you can obviously add your own. If you want to have a different sound of your mouse clicking, you can add your own right there, but I would just leave those as defaults. All right, and you can just leave these as defaults as well. If you want to change the, if you want to add a date time to your videos and recording, you can do that right here and so forth. All right. From here, you got the other effects. I think we've gone through these here. Here you can go to Tools. Now, obviously, what we're going to do is you want to go right down to where it says Options. All right. And here is an important options window that you usually look at a lot. Obviously, you want to change from AVI to CamRec when you do that. You want to leave these as defaults if you want to have the tooltips on or off. Here is your inputs. Now here's where you would set your audio device. So if I wanted to have my webcam, I would set it up right here. As well as if I wanted to, what kind of frame rate do I want to set up, I just leave that at 30 right there. And so forth, all right? You got your different hotkeys here for recording. You can set that, leave that alone. And you can leave these as default as well. So your main thing is your input for your video and your audio. And obviously leave the codecs to be TextMist Screen Codecs 2. You want to leave that to be there. So that's all you need to do for recording a screen for your settings. And you'll see here down below, obviously, you can do the full screen. Now if you select full screen, that's going to get your entire browser window. There's some custom defaults here. So if I go to custom, here you can select some custom defaults or the widescreen. The most commonly used are the 1280 by 720 and 854 by 480, or there's a standard definition, and there's a couple defaults there. Obviously, these are some recent areas that I've done. And also, if you want to click on lock the application, you can do that as well. Or I can select an area to record. So if I select an area to record, you can see here that I can go with my mouse and select an area to record. You see that? And it'll select it. Now, obviously, I can go to select this one. If I select 854 by 480, it'll automatically resize to that. You see that? Or I can manually adjust right here. So if I want to go 600 by 300, I'm just playing with the numbers here. It'll do that right there. You see that? 600 by 300. And you can manually adjust it. And there's a little link that says lock. So if I want to lock this dimensions, I click on the little lock button. And now these dimensions are locked. All right. I can unlock, and then I can change it to something else. All right. There you go. Here is where you can adjust your audio if you want to turn your audio on or off. This is important if you just want to take a video of your screen without any audio. You certainly want to mute it right here. And here is your levels for right or left, and for your here's your levels for your video. And here's your levels for your audio input. And you can see a status bar. If your audio is working, it'll certainly show up right here. And you can see that mine's working fine. So to click record, all you need to do obviously is click on record, and you'll see that it'll have a countdown. It'll happen 3, 2, 1, and then I'm live. You see that? And when you're live, you can have a number of toolbars down below, and you can see that the toolbars are a screen draw. So if I want to do a screen draw, I click on this, and I can select what kind of screen draw I want. If I want to have a little pen, and I can start writing right here. Okay. And then I hit escape, and that disappears. I can click screen draw again. If I want to have a little circle, I can do that and hit escape, and that'll disappear. All right. Hit screen draw again. So this is live. It's recording right now, and you can do your screen draws as you're recording. You can also change your cursor effects while you're recording right here as well. And so if I want to have my cursor effect yellow, I do that, or highlight clicks and so forth. All right. You can see here that I can add a marker. We'll talk about that later, and so forth. Here you can click on pause, or you can hit delete or stop or anything that you want to do. Thank you. You will see here that when it comes to Camtasia, you want to categorize your project in a certain way, and you'll see that when I'm working with my source files, I will categorize and group things. For example, you have your tracks right here, and what I've done is I have created a little clip just to demonstrate exactly how I do my categorizing. And so what I did is I added a canvas, and then I put some callouts on here. So if I start at the beginning, you got the first callout happening, and then after a couple seconds, 4 seconds, the second one shows up, and then there's going to be a third one happening here. The third callout's going to happen. And so what I've done here, just to show you, let me just move this up here. You got the background and you got 3 callouts. And I want to make sure that these are intact, and I'm going to be adding more stuff on my timeline, but I don't want to mess with these because these are all set up. And what you need to do to categorize, you select them, left click with your mouse and hit the shift key and select all 4, and then you right click and click on group. And what that does, it groups them into in a category. Obviously I've done a lot of grouping, there's 79, but you'll see that the inside it says 4 clips. Now I can come here and I can adjust this whole group right here, the time of it. But if I want to work on the individual callouts inside, I have to click on the plus sign and then work on them, move things around here, and then I can just minimize the group, this little icon right there. Okay, so this is a great way to categorize stuff on your timeline and to keep everything together and neat and tidy. Thank you. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make PowerPoint-like videos using only Camtasia 8. For those of you who think that we're going to be getting into PowerPoint, we are not. We are only going to be using Camtasia 8. But first, let me back up. A lot of people do use PowerPoint to make screencast videos when they're doing presentations, and Camtasia has a plugin. So if I bring up my PowerPoint software, you'll see here that if I go to add-ins, I can simply click on record, and what that does, it will record this PowerPoint presentation, and I can use my mouse or I can use my arrow keys to toggle through different slides. I find that a lot of work, and also the images are not as clear by simply just using Camtasia 8, and I'll show you exactly how easy this is. The first thing that you want to do, you want to make a background, and you can use either an image. I can import an image as a background, or I can use a callout, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing here. So you go to callouts, and I'm going to be picking this one right here, that callout, and you'll see that as a nice box squares, and I'm going to pull that one out, and I'm going to stretch it so that it covers the entire screen. Now, I usually go over a little bit. I usually go just over just a tab so that there's not any black lines when I go to publish it. All right, just go over just a tiny bit. So that's going to be my PowerPoint background, and here if I click on there, I can change the color. I can make it to white, I can make it to black, I can I can put it to blue, and you can see here there's a number of effects that I can do here. I can make a border around it, but there's also, you can do some shadowing. So for example, if I wanted to have a certain style, I can have it a little bit of a shadow, gradient go through it, so to speak. Yeah, that's a gradient. Or I can go to the effects and have no gradient at all, just blue. So there's different effects that you can do here. Nice, looks like a nice border around it. All right, so just wanted to point that out to you. So that's how I get started to make my PowerPoint slide. And here, obviously, you start adding on top of this background. So for example, I just click on this timeline right here, and I can add another callout. That's going to add another one, and I can go and I can change it to text right here, and then in this section right here I can add my text, point number 1. You see that? And I can make it a little bit bigger, say 48, point number 1, and I can go point number 2, point number 3. As you can see here, I can just stretch it out a little bit more. I can move that over here, and you can see here that there's a little bit of a number 3 right there, and I can come up here move this one over a little bit. There. So now they're even Steven. And obviously that's how I would make my PowerPoint presentation. I would just add on top of the background color. And so if I want to change the background color at any time, very, very easily, I can just change it to that. See that? So that is how easy it is to make a PowerPoint presentation. And if I wanted to turn these into a bullets, so to speak, that's very, very easy to do. For example, if I just wanted to turn the first one into a bullet, let me just erase that. And I can just come here and point number 1, and I can just highlight this. All I need to do is highlight it, and I come down below, and I can go fade in. See that? So it's going to fade in down here, and I can move that to fade in. And so if I come here and if I click on play, you see it's going to fade in. See that? It's going to fade in nicely. All right. You can also do it by transition. So for example, say it's going to, instead of having a fade in, I want to have the words roll in, and I'll show you a really cool effect on this. All you need to do is go to transitions, and I'm going to go from left to right, and make sure you go to put this on the timeline. I'm going to add the left to right transition right there. So now what's going to happen now, it's going to come in and it's going to, see that? Let me just stretch it out a little bit more so it's a little bit slower. So it's going to almost type on your page. See that? That's how easy it is to do. So point number 1 is going to type on your page, and how you do that is by adding a slide left to right on your text callout. And if I wanted to create point number 2 really fast, instead of retyping everything all over again, I can simply take this callout and I can right click and I can copy, and I can come up here and I can just simply paste it on another track, and it'll work again, and I can change this to number 2. See that? So now you got a couple things happening here. You got the first one happening, then the second one happening, and let me just move the second one down a little bit. There you go. And you can see that it's got some lines here. It shows you where exactly where it is centered. So now you got the point number 1 happening, and you got the point number 2 happening. See that? Let me start over again. So now let me start over on this PowerPoint. You got point number 1 and point number 2. See how easy that is? So again, that's how to make a PowerPoint presentation really easy on that as well. Thank you.